everybody, it's Scott coming at you from the road in Las Vegas, currently at the Halloween Classic from inside the Mobile Disc Giant HQ, which many of you know is a converted ambulance, which is our traveling stealth RV. Anyway, and also serves to help us move things to and from tournaments, and that's one of the reasons we're here in Las Vegas. I helped out with the art and some of the items for the players packs at the Halloween Classic, and we brought them all down here and stuff like that. Anyway, look, the reason I'm coming at you today is that time is running out and I'm on the road and I need to make a video because we're about to hit the week leading up to, well, we're in the week leading up to the Monster at Mayors, all right? And you're going to get, as a participant, a digital caddy book, which can be downloaded if you look at the Facebook events page, or if you look at DG Scene, the file will be there for download. I'm also going to send out the link in an email, but this video accompanies that to walk you through hole by hole. Next year, maybe we'll have time to do a video with a drone and very smooth, buttery footage. No, we don't need help with that. We want this to be when we issue that, a very high caliber and quality. We're not going to do it until we're going to do it right. All right. The Monster at Mayors, supported by Innovative Champion Discs, supported by Lily's Restaurant and Bar, sponsored by Francisco Ortega and Chris LaFond. Thank you, friends, for your sponsorships, and also sponsored by Discraft and Disc Giant. This is what this video is. It's a walkthrough. We're going to start going through the holes, hole by hole, because Mayors is an unusual course with more complications than normal. Some holes play as OB, where you play the disc where a meter in from the fence that it left the playing field, for example, and some holes have OB that is played as a hazard. Now, when you play OB as a hazard, you play the disc from where it lies with a one-stroke penalty. It's important for you to understand the difference, and it's also important for you to pay attention when you're on the hole so you know how it plays, because going OB in these different fashions have different ramifications to your score. Some of them, in some instances, you're getting penalized more, in some instances, you're getting penalized less, but you want to take a look at the T signs or keep the digital caddy book handy so that after you guys leave the T sign, if everyone didn't read it and there's a question, you can pull it up and know what's going down. All right. I'm doing this so we can minimize drama and keep everyone on the same page. We don't have arguments or any of that stuff. All right. Look, we're going to get into it here. So on the first page of your caddy book, you're going to see the poster, and then you're going to see the overall course map. And then we're going to get into the actual T signs. Hole 1, you're shooting out towards a basket where there's an OB fence that basically goes almost the whole way on the left. That, of course, if you go over the fence, we just talked about that. If you go over an OB fence and it says it's OB, you're going to take your lie. If you cross the fence, you're going to take a stroke and you're going to come 1 meter in from the fence and take your next shot from there. All right. The important thing to point out on hole 1 is there's a fence that is in front of you. If you don't cross that fence on your drive, you will re-tee with a one-stroke penalty. That actually means you're shooting 3 because you've already thrown once. You're going to take a one-stroke penalty, and now I'm about to throw my 3rd shot. So that's what you need to know about hole 1. Moving on to hole 2. Hole 2 has 2 mandatory pulls. I'm going to clarify something on mandatory pulls. First of all, obviously, if you miss a mandatory, you're taking a one-stroke penalty. This particular hole, you will re-tee with a one-stroke penalty. Now, there's some confusion since the opening of the course, because there used to be the PDGA rule for mandatories used to be that if you pass the mandatory pull on the wrong side, you could actually try to do what's called unwind and try to make it back around the pole. That is no longer the case, so I'm here to clarify that for you. If you pass the mandatory pull on either side of the wrong way as indicated by the T sign, you can no longer take your lie from that drop. You're going to do what's indicated on the T sign. In this instance, it is re-tee with a one-stroke penalty. On some of the other holes we'll talk about, it's going to be go to a drop zone with one stroke penalty. Hole 3 is an island designated by a split rail fence. If you miss the island on your drive, you're going to take a 1-stroke penalty and you're going to play it as a hazard. If you miss the island, it is OB, play it as a hazard. So you're going to go, I threw my drive, and let's pretend that I missed the island. I'm going to go to my lie with a 1-stroke penalty and shoot from there. So at that point, I've thrown once, I'm taking a 1-stroke penalty, I'm taking my 3rd shot, I'm throwing 3. Or the easy way to do it is to play the hole out and add a 1-stroke penalty, hoping that you only miss it once, okay? Anyway, that is how that hole is played. Hole 4. Hole 4 plays as another double mandatory. If you miss the mandos, you're going to take your next shot from the tee pad with a 1-stroke penalty. Hole 5. You need to make it to the inbounds area if you don't want to take a penalty stroke. There's OB to the right, there's OB to the left, and there's OB short of the playing field that's designated by the split rail fence. OB shots on this hole play as hazard. That is hole 5. Hole 6, there's OB to the right. There is OB short of the fence. Drive short of the fence, play as hazard where they lie with a 1-stroke penalty. And then if you go OB down towards the basket off to the right of the split rail fence, take a look at this map. You're going to, if you go OB down there, you take it from where it left the playing field with a 1-stroke penalty, taking 1 meter in relief from the fence, okay? Hole 7, there is OB all the way on the right. The fence and beyond are OB. It's a good idea during this to understand how OB is decided. If you're underneath a fence, let's say this is the playing field, this is the out of bounds. A piece of your disc needs to be visible from directly above the fence, the split rail fence, on the playing field. Like if it's a close call, you guys get right above that fence, and if you can see just a little piece of disc poking into the inbounds playing field, the OB fence line is OB. So a piece of your disc has to be in the playing field underneath the fence and visible, and you should get a ruling from your group if it's that close, okay? The same thing down where we have asphalt and the road and beyond plays OB. If the disc is surrounded by dirt right next to the asphalt and it's touching the asphalt, that's fine. It's in bounds. If it's on the asphalt, here's the asphalt and here's the dirt, and a piece of your disc is crossing the dirt, which is the inbounds area, it plays as inbounds. You take a meter from the road and that's where you go, okay? Hopefully that's clear. If there's any discrepancies during the round, play what's called a provisional. Look that up so you understand how that is played. And before you do that, you must tell the other people on your card you are taking a provisional. If there's some kind of discrepancy or if you're not sure how something plays, take a provisional, come ask the TD after the round, get the right score squared away. But that's how you handle that situation. Don't sit there and argue about it, okay? All right, hole 8, we have a double mandatory. Your disc must pass between the 2 poles before putting out to be fair. There's a fence in front of you as you tee off. That area is not considered OB. You could play it safe by throwing a little short and then going through the 2 poles. You're going to have to take a drop. If you miss the mandatories in the drop zone, which is a pad between the poles and with your stroke, okay? That's hole 8. Hole 9, there's fence. There's a fenced off area to the left, and there's road and beyond to the right. This is a par 4. What you could opt to do is play short of the fence and play it safe, and then continue on to the basket. So you throw short of the fence to the left, throw safer shots to get up to the basket, and then putt out. Or if you're running it, just know that that area to the left, that fenced-off area to the left, is OB, and the road and beyond to the right is OB. Hole 10 has a fence lining it to the left. The fence and beyond is OB. Behind the basket, there's another fence. Past that fence to the back is also OB. Now, here's the basket. Here's the fence to the back. The fence eventually ends over here to the right. If your disc is visible, is clearly, it's past the fence, but it's over here to the right of where the fence ends, it's still in bounds. There has to be an OB line visible so you guys can clearly make the call. Otherwise, if it's beyond the fence to the right, not past the fence, it's past the fence, but it's over here to the right where the line stops, you're safe and you play it from there with no penalty. Hole 11 is an island. There's OB all around that island that plays as a hazard. Hole 12 has a mando pull that you need to come around you need to pass it from the left. If you pass the pole on the right, you have missed the Mando. You will take your next live from the drop zone T-pad, which is up and to the left, with a 1-stroke penalty. And also you want to keep an eye out for the road and beyond is also OB. If you've already passed the Mando, but you putt and you fly down to the road or beyond, you're taking a stroke there because it is OB. Hole 13 is straightforward. There is a Mando. You must pass the Mando in its current position to the left. And if you miss the Mando here, you will re-tee with a 1-stroke penalty. Hole 14 has a Mando. You must pass the Mando to the left. The road and beyond to the right is OB. Once you get closer to the basket, there is a fence that goes up along the ridge line. If you are past the beginning of the fence and come over the fence or end up past the fence on the right, you are OB. At that point, if you are to the right of the fence, anywhere that it's marked, you will proceed to the drop zone, which is at the top of the hill, to the left of the basket with a 1-stroke penalty. Hole 15 is a triple Mando, a little tidbit of awesome information. This hole was built to the exact specifications of the famous gate hole at Winthrop Gold, which some of you may have seen in a recent televised event, and a couple people aced that. AB, Drew Gibson, I can't remember who else. Maybe there was one other person. If you pass the gate on either side to the right or left, you have missed the mandatory and you will proceed to the drop zone, which is in the middle of the fairway with a 1-stroke penalty. If you fly over the arch, you have missed the third Mando because it's a triple Mando. You will also proceed to the drop zone with a 1-stroke penalty. So you want to play this hole careful and calculated. Hole 16 is a big hole, par 4. There's a Mando pull that you must pass to the left. We hope to have spotters on this hole because it's a big hole, and some of those shots are tough to gauge whether they pass to the right or the front or back of the pole. So we're hope to have spotters there to clarify the issue. If you miss the Mando, you'll drop down to the bottom of that hill. Right by where the pole is, there is a drop zone where you'll take your next shot with a 1-stroke penalty. Moving on to hole 17. To get there, you kind of cross the softball fields. Someone in your group should have played this course before, hopefully. If not, check the map, ask the spotter if you're not sure. Someone in your group will probably know. Hole 17 is a little bit easier to gauge what's right and wrong here. The road and beyond to the left is OB. If you cross out of OB, which may be right in front of you guys where the road starts, if you head straight out there, you're going to take it right to the road or anywhere where it left the playing field. Take a meter relief in and take your next shot with a 1-stroke penalty. Hole 18, wrapping it up here, is one of our signature holes and an awesome finishing hole. Definitely technical, and you want to pay attention here. There's a Mando pull at the top of the hill. You must pass it to the right. If you miss the Mando, you're going to proceed to the drop zone, which is a little T-pad next to the Mando, with a 1-stroke penalty. From there, you're headed towards a pyramid elevated basket. If you leave the playing field and cross the fence to the right or to the left or behind the basket, that is OB. That wraps up our walkthrough of how the holes here are played. If you have any questions, post them or email me and we'll get them answered for you. But it's better if you post them to the event Facebook page or to DG Scene so that we can clarify. I will do my best to look at every place. Please don't post the questions to the YouTube page. It's harder for me to see them and get notifications there. Please post them one of the other 2 places so I can post the answer and get your question answered. But it might also answer other people's questions who had the same inquiry. Thank you guys for being part of the event. We look forward to seeing you. Scott, out.